Why did I stay with my wife? I get this question every day, and I've answered it in several different ways and in different contexts, but I'm going to answer it today a little bit differently. And this is the first time seeing me. Well, I was married for 25 years, and my wife passed away from alcohol use disorder a little over 4 years ago. And unfortunately, she went through a series of 7 rehabs, 7 detoxes. She had 4 DUIs, multiple emergency stays, multiple inpatient stays, psych holds. She had at least a dozen operations over the last 5 years of her life. In fact, she had almost a dozen the last month of her life. She had knee replacements, hip replacements, ankle surgeries, gastric sleeve bypass. She had a cetus about 11 years before she passed away, where there's a huge amount of fluid that goes through her body. She had all these physical and mental illnesses, and yet I stayed with her. And it's important to understand why, and the foundation of family is what we're really questioning here. And I want people to understand why you should stay with somebody and when you should not stay with somebody. And I've always gotten a lot of like judgy kind of comments like, why would you stay with her? What's wrong with you? Stay with this person who has this mental illness. It's really sad when you think about it. When people don't realize, it's important. When you get married, it's a commitment to having to hold for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. And I think so many people today are they get married for the wrong reasons. I mean, you don't get married just to see what you're going to get out of the other person or it makes you somehow whole. You become a family. But on top of that, the most important element of it is that the children are watching. And a lot of it I stayed for my son. He understands what commitment is, even through the pain and suffering of having to deal with somebody that has this mental illness called alcohol use disorder. And it's essential to understand that if I had not stayed with her, my son would have thought, well, my dad gave up on her. And I mean, psychologically, you have to understand, you're helping the next generation and the generation after that. It's important to hold your place, to be the position that you've been assigned to as a father and as a husband, and to take that position more serious than any other position or job in your life, because the children are watching. And it's not always just about us and what we get. And you have to have a maturity level to understand that, yes, I could have easily left. And then what would have been the aftermath if I had left someone, my wife, who had a physical and mental illness like alcohol use disorder? What would have been the repercussions for her and for us? And I understand this application sometimes reflects, flippant comments, or maybe not the deepest type of comments, but it's really important to understand this subject, because, I think so much of society doesn't understand what would have happened if I had left my wife, this mentally ill woman. Somebody would have had to pick up the pieces. Likely she would not have lasted very long. Probably wouldn't have lasted more than a month or two, on her own, because there were times when we left her for 4 or 5 days, even under house arrest. She had an ankle bracelet on, and she almost drank herself to death when we came home. I've had stories on that. It's not a situation. It was an impossible situation, one that I hope most people don't get through. And the telling of it is so that other families will recognize this in their loved one and understand this is the road you're going down. So it's important to offer that help, to at least allow that person to know that you still have the family there, even if tough love needs to be applied, even if you need to create distance. But it's important as a spouse to hang in there. And the only times when I would disagree with that, if there's physical, emotional abuse or any other kind of abuse, nobody should have to be in that situation. Unfortunately, with my wife, she was a very loving, kind, empathetic human being. She just had this god-awful, horrible disease that she was just never able to overcome. So yes, I hung out there with her until the bitter end. And was it easy? Absolutely not. Would I do it again? I don't know. I certainly wouldn't ever have a relationship with someone that had alcohol use disorder, and I don't think anybody should, certainly when they're active. Now, if they've been able to put it in remission, that's a different story. But I hope my story and I hope my experiences have helped both alcoholics understand how they affect the people around themselves, and for families to understand and recognize what's going on with their loved one and know what to do, where to go, and how to take action with their own boundaries, and understand there's not only so much, and there's limitations what the family can do. And I hope these stories have helped. And again, I go live Monday through Friday, right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And again, we have the Facebook group. Link is in the bio. You don't have to go to the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Again, click on my bio, take you right to the link in the link tree. And also, when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, I have a coaching program. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Set up a breakthrough call. Takes about 45 minutes to an hour. We do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family, and then we go over the program. I'm looking for families and individuals who want to change their lives forever. And again, thanks for listening.